when you meet someone who have lived a decade far from home but never let go it off. There's always a story worth listening for. Today, I'm meeting Dr. Urmila Chakraborty, a name that echoes across Milan's cultural corridors, classrooms, and a voice for Bengal Patachitra art revival and voice for women empowerment. Namaste, ma'am.
Namaskar, Nitin.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine, and you?
Thank you so much for agreeing to meet me. It is pleasure to meet you in person, ma'am.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I know you still look as young as a young girl, but I would ask you start from a very beginning. We'll start from the beginning. You as a young girl, how your life was before coming to Milan.
Okay, well, I'm very, very old, I can tell you that much. But as Mark Twain said, age is just a number.
Sure.
So, yeah, thinking back to my childhood, I think my first memories are of New Delhi.
Okay.
My father was in the income tax department, and we used to live in what is now, I think, called Tilak Marg. At that time, it was called Hardinge Avenue. It was just behind the famous Mathura Road. So my first childhood memories are of that house, and my dad used to have a Standard Herald car. Every evening, I used to wait because I knew exactly the musicality of his car horn. So I used to wait to hear that car horn when he was at the turning of the main road, and I used to rush out to the gate. And my dad would stop the car and take me every day for a ride in the India Gate area to do the hump in front of the president's house was my everyday activity. When I was about 11, we moved to Kolkata. And, in origin, we are from Kolkata. And then I went on, I stayed in Kolkata for a very long time. I did my schooling, my college, university. And then to my great joy, when I got married, we moved back to New Delhi.
Okay.
And I stayed in New Delhi. I used to work in Delhi Public School. And my early years of marriage and becoming a mother, everything was in New Delhi.
So as we know, transition is a part of life. I would like to know how you came to Milan. How has your life been in Milan? Was it quite difficult for you to adjust in the initial days? And how have you tackled all the difficulties that came to your early ages?
Yes, I think change is the only thing that doesn't change. It's always there. How I came to Milan? Well, I didn't really come to Milan. My husband came to Milan.
Okay.
We came in 1994.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and we've just stayed on here. Difficulties. Let me think of the difficulties. I think it's greatly a question of how you perceive yourself and how you perceive others. When I came here, well, there were no Indian stores except one in Corso Buenos Aires.
Okay.
There was only one Indian restaurant which was called Sukriti. And like now when I go to Esselunga, I can buy basmati, I can buy haldi, jeera, everything I can buy at the superstore. At that time, it was not like that. I remember we contacted the Indian consulate to find out where to buy basmati rice.
Really?
Because that was also classified news at that time. And that's how we met Mr. and Mrs. Dasgupta, who had this Indian store and the first Indian restaurant, Sukriti. It was theirs.
As you have worn many hats, I would like you to share some experience about you being an author, a writer, teacher, and a translator, and your life in Italy.
So in 2002, I set up my company, English Hour.
Okay.
And I started doing corporate courses. And then we also diversified into, diversity management, intercultural skills development, and all that kind of thing. So I've never really looked back. And then in Italy, they say that una cosa nasce un'altra. And that's what it's been for me. One thing leads to another thing. So then I met somebody who invited me to teach Hindi at the civic school. From there came the recruitment in the university, the State University of Milan. where I've taught for more than 20 years. Then, after COVID, I decided to change a few things in my professional life. So, I gave up formal teaching in university and I do my own work. I do a lot of writing, I publish a lot. So, yeah, it just goes on. And I'm also a grandmother, so I spend a lot of time also with my grandchild. So, everything is like a jigsaw puzzle.
So, ma'am, I have been reading about your work in Patachitra. So, I would like you to explain us a bit more about what's Patachitra, where is it from, how was you involved in this art form?
Patachitra comes from two Sanskrit words, pata, which means cloth,
Okay.
and chitra, which means painting.
Painting.
So it's basically painting on cloth.
Okay.
And they are storytellers. These people are storytellers. They have these rolls or scrolls, these are the Patachitras, and there, scene by scene, they paint these stories. But the stories originally were linked to Hindu mythology.
Okay.
Then there has been an evolution, and now they include all kinds of socially relevant subjects. They talk about global affairs, they talk about even things like COVID or HIV virus. So there's been a great evolution. And originally, they were men who used to
Okay.
paint, and they used to move from village to village. So, they were people who were storytellers, they were people who brought news, because there are also narrations about ancient wars, great happenings, etc.
Mm.
Then, in the last 30 years or so, women have entered into this, and obviously that has led to an evolution.
Your work goes beyond art. It talks about empowerment.
Yeah.
What does Nari Sashastikaran means to you?
Actually, my work has little or nothing to do with the artistic part of Patachitra. Okay? I concentrate on the socio-cultural aspects of Patachitra. First of all, we use it as a tool for introducing Indian culture to people. But if you look at the salient points of Indian culture, we have continuity, we have diversity, we have a very debatable situation about the position of women in our society, and we have intercultural and interreligious aspects of our culture. Unity and diversity is our motto. All of this you can see in Patachitra.
Okay, yes.
It's a constant art form which has been going on for years and years. There's a lot of diversity in it. Women have now entered into it, so there's the concept of empowerment of women and religious diversity, because most of these painters today, they belong to the Muslim religion.
Okay.
But in spite of being Muslims, they continue to paint the stories of Durga, Shiva, etc.
Okay.
When you go to this village, it's an amazing experience. Suppose somebody is singing. Maybe they're singing on Krishna. Suddenly, the azan starts in the mosque. There is silence. When the azan finishes, they start singing exactly from where they had stopped. So all of this we can see in Patachitra. So first of all, I use it as a tool for getting to know India. Secondly, we use it as a tool for getting to know yourself.
Okay.
Because, there are also similar art forms in Italy. The Canta Storia of Sicily, they use banners. We use scrolls, but it's essentially the same thing. And this tradition of storytellers is a global tradition, which you have all over the world. Thirdly, of course, we use it to show empowerment of women. Now, what's empowerment of women is a very, very difficult question, and I think it is...
And it's a very long discussion.
Exactly, it's a delicate discussion, it's a complicated discussion. But for me personally, empowerment of women is related to two other E's, education and economy, economic independence. But education doesn't necessarily mean like you having a degree or like me having a degree. There is also such a thing as intangible cultural heritage. Some of these women, the Potuas, they can't read or write.
Okay.
Those who belong to my generation, they cannot read or write. But you give them an idea, they can compose a song, and they can immediately paint that song out. So we also try to give this idea that, nothing is absolute. My education is not the only kind of education.
It's not like a boundary.
There is no boundary. So we try to do that. So in our village, our effort always is to promote the women painters.
Okay.
Okay, so when we did this exhibition in Milan in the 2012, I think was the first big exhibition in Milan, I brought two women painters, mother and daughter. So for the daughter, from Medinipur, from Naya. For the daughter, it was her first journey out of her village. So empowerment to women is actually about educating women, about making them capable of making choices.
Ma'am, recently I got to know that you have been requested by the Consulate General of India here in Milan to participate in Pravasi Divas 2025. Can you share some experience of you?
It was really an amazing experience because, for somebody like me who's a nobody,
No,
to
ma'am.
be like a sort of state guest in one's own country, to be able to interact with our leaders, our ministers, and to experience that kind of hospitality which the state government of Odisha extended to us. I mean, in all my life, I've never had a liaison officer all for myself. So for me, it was an amazing experience. We landed from the flight, and at the end of the tarmac, when the airport door opens, the liaison officer was waiting there. So for me, it was an amazing experience in that way. I think it was a one.
Deserve that
No, I don't think so. But I think it was a once in a lifetime experience. And it was a real learning experience. And I personally, I was in the 5th panel, which was dedicated to culture.
Okay.
And it was chaired by the Minister of Culture, the Honorable Minister Shekhawat. And for me, interacting with him in itself was a learning process. And then also to meet delegates from all over the world. We had people of Indian origin flying in from all over the world, from the 4 corners of the world. So to learn from them, to share with them, it was an absolutely amazing experience in every possible way. And the cultural exposure. What we saw about Odisha, the culture of Odisha, I don't know, I have no words to describe the experience.
So before this experience, have you ever visited Odisha before?
Well, I've visited Odisha, but to visit Odisha by yourself as a tourist is one thing. And to visit Odisha as a state guest of Odisha is something else. There are these little cars which take you from the parking to Jagannath Dham.
Oh, yes.
So normally as tourists, when we go, we have to wait for our turn to get into those little cars. Here we had the liaison officer and me alone in that little car. So it's a completely different dimension, You feel like a VIP. But it was absolutely incredible as an experience.
So good to hear that experience from you, ma'am, because I personally belong from Odisha.
Yes, you told me. You told me, I remember.
Hearing about your experience about Odisha, something brings a nostalgic feeling to my mind.
Yes, for me, Odisha is very important because, as you know, I work with Patachitra. So I just got off the flight and I freshened up and I went straight to Raghurajpur.
Okay.
That was my first destination. So it was really, really a wonderful experience. I mean, meeting all those people, interacting with students, the opportunity to interact with lots of young students, because students were acting as, guides at the reception, telling us about
Odisha. Also young.
Yes, that was a very, very nice thing. Every generation was involved.
So there was something or the other for
everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah, for everybody. Yes.
Let's have a seat for
Yes.
some chit chat.
Sure, why not?
So Urmila ji, আমি একটা কথা বলবো।
নিশ্চয়ই বলবে।
সো বাঙালি আর ইটালিয়ান মধ্যে একটা খুব সুন্দর সিমিলারিটি আছে। দুইজনের খুব ইমোশন ভরা। ভালো খেতে, ভালো বেচতে আর গল্প করতে খুব পছন্দ। ডু ইউ এগ্রি?
হ্যাঁ, বাংলায় বলি? হ্যাঁ, অনেক মিল আছে বাঙালি আর ইটালিয়ানদের মধ্যে। অনেক পণ্ডিতরা আগে বলতেনও যে ইন্ডিয়ার সাথেও ইটালির অনেক মিল আছে, আর হ্যাঁ বাঙালিদের সাথে অনেক মিল আছে। Yes, I think there's a lot of similarity with Bengalis and Italians. We love food, we stay at the table for hours, and also we are very emotional, we get carried away. So yes, there is a considerable similarity, but the Italians are more volatile.
Okay, yes. So I would now let's shift to and gear up to a quick fun round.
Okay.
So I'll ask you through some questions and some choices on you. So you no explanations.
Okay.
Just instincts.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start the rapid fire round. So khorkhori jhanla or Italian shutter windows.
Shutter windows.
Okay. Chai at an adda or aperitivo at an bar.
Where? In India, in Italy,
Of
where?
course, if you want chai at an adda in India or aperitivo at a bar in Italy.
In Italy, I will go for an aperitivo, of course.
So I also saw it today. So haath pankha or Italian handheld fan.
I like handheld fan.
Risotto al zafferano or khichuri.
Risotto al zafferano.
Tiramisu or rosogolda.
Tiramisu.
Hand rickshaw ride in Kolkata or Italian Vespa ride in Amalfi Coast.
Vespa Amalfi Coast.
Tagore's Rabindra Sangeet or Italian opera.
Ravindra Sangeet. I'm a Bengali.
Of course. Durga Puja pandal hopping or Milan Fashion Week strolls.
This is difficult. Hopping. Durga Puja pandal hopping.
Khub bhalo or molto bene.
Benissimo.
Benissimo. Okay. Okay, Urmila ji, it was pleasure having you here. It was my honor that you agreed to meet me today. And I hope you support us, and I am looking for much more interactions with you in future.
Thank you so much, Nitin. It was my pleasure, and whatever I can do for you, I'm there.
Thanks
Thanks
so
for
much.
having
Thank
me.
you so much.
Namaskar.
Thank you.